One Space Love podcast for the love of music, lifestyle, and well-being while caring for our planet. On this podcast, I will be chatting with musicians, artists, and creative minds that are living life on purpose while doing what they love. You're listening to episode 4 of One Space Love podcast, and today my guest is Brett from Dubarray. I just want to mention that we are all still in isolation while I'm launching this episode. I am at home running this podcast, doing all my own editing. So Brett from Dubarray and I had a great chat. I could have just kept chatting with him. He and his wife Kate are friends of mine. I wish we lived closer because I know I would love to hang out with them so much more. But they're up the coast and I'm down in Sydney. But it was so good to actually get to catch up and ask him some questions that I've been longing to ask that really show how dedicated they are, both of them, and to their path, and all the artists that collaborate. It's a big family, Dubarray. There's a lot of incredible multi-instrumentalists that come on board, and what a beautiful relationship they all have, and you can really feel that through the music. This episode is called Feels Like Heaven, and that's because they actually already have, by the time we put this episode out, they've launched their new single, Feels Like Heaven. And Brett goes into how that came about and where the music was laid and how the lyrics came to Kate and himself and how they all brought this track out. During this time, I really ask that we support the musicians. So you can buy that track on iTunes, go to Spotify, and if you love music as much as I do, put small amounts in to help them sustain their passion and do what they love. That's enough from me. You can follow Dubarray at Dubarray, DUBARRAY.com, and also on Instagram, and as I said, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud. Sign up to their newsletter and they will be back on the road touring as soon as we get through this. You're listening to One Space Love podcast. I'm Steph Pappas and I'm here with Brett from Dubarray. Hi, Brett.
Hello.
So nice to have you on the show, and I'm just going to dive straight in. And could you finish for me the statement, I am?
I am love and light. I'm always forever grateful for this life. I am a father. I'm a husband. I almost said I'm a wife then. And professionally, I'm a musician, producer. Recreationally, I am a basketball player and lover of music and lover of nature and outdoors.
And a lover of love.
A lover of love.
I wanted to just go... Yeah, I'm a lover of love. I wanted to go in there. Part of what makes Dubarray so beautiful is your love between yourself and Kate. Where did you meet?
Oh, that's yeah, we met a long time ago in a circumstance that was sort of not so Cinderella story, really.
It's okay. Yeah.
But yeah, basically, it was at a friend's birthday party, really. Yeah, we were both quite young, and that was the initial meeting, of us two as people. But I don't think our love didn't really meet and connect until about 3 months into our relationship. It wasn't love at first sight, but that's when I feel that we both had this deeper connection that really just anchored, and then that's pretty much when music sort of started connecting us, because he was a musician, I was a musician, but we didn't even play music together for almost a year. I was in a rock band and she was performing with some other people doing more sort of ballady stuff, and so it wasn't for about a year into our relationship that we started playing music together. I shouldn't say 3 months. It was about a month. It wasn't 3 months. It was about a month.
I find that really refreshing to hear, because I don't think we, being a parent, and you're a parent yourself, this story of Cinderella is not there. There's a new form of love, and it's of coming into union together and connecting through that creativity.
Yeah, definitely. And now it just keeps growing. We've been together now for 16 years and been married for 11, and almost 11, coming up in about two or 3 weeks. It just feels like it keeps growing. It'll shed a layer and then another dimension, and then it'll go deeper, into a whole another category. Obviously, there's that first initial honeymoon love that you have, and then you get to really know somebody, and then then you really dive in, then you start connecting passions and all that sort of stuff. If you've got the same passion, we were lucky enough that we do. And then and you throw a kid in the mix, and then it just goes even deeper.
Yeah. Starting off musically, Kindred. Is it Kindred? Was the first band?
Yeah.
Was that
Yep.
Kate was in that as well? Is that when you started playing together?
Yeah, that was the band that we started playing together, and it was with her brother as well, Ben, who's now in Dubarray. He sort of floats in and out.
Okay.
He's quite busy doing. He's got a raw food cafe up here, and then he does a lot of sound healings and breath work and all sorts of awesome stuff. So he sort of floats in and out. We've got the Dubarray family is quite broad, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're very strongly connected, the Dubarray family.
Yeah, so Damien and Chelsea actually left about 2.5 years ago, and Damien came back, and Chelsea pursued on to start her own thing called Sky Eater. So in the meantime, we ended up getting a guy named Rory Bradby, from Sydney, who's now moved to Melbourne. He's moved further away, and then Kane James on sax, and then we've had a couple of people come in. We've had Sam David on didge come in. We've had Adam Scriven. So but we're all still really, really, really good friends, and it just keeps evolving. That's what's beautiful about it.
And you all stay connected. Where did Dubarray journey begin from there? Like, how did it transition into Dubarray?
So Kindred was basically it was a band
more rocky,
that sort of more rock funk inspired, and we had it set up as a band. Like everyone was sort of in the band making it was equally making decisions and all that sort of stuff. And Katie and I were working on a side project, which was Dubarray, and we were working on it. We just really enjoyed our live electronica. We just never really knew which path to go down. So in that, I discovered Ableton around then, and then I just became a bit of a mad scientist in Ableton while we were doing the Kindred stuff, and just started writing grooves and just writing heaps of grooves, and then Kate would get inspired and she'd sing some melodies, and all of a sudden we're like, man, we've got a few songs here now, and Kindred was still powerhousing. It was still doing its thing, but we could feel that there was a real passion arising for Dubarray. We just had a calling to not be in Australia, just to leave, just to go explore and adventure. Like adventure, there was a lot of different things going on in our life at that time that we just need to get away, and we just decided to use music as that vehicle, and we could see Dubarray being that vehicle as well. So we pretty much just packed up and decided to take like a 8-month unpaid leave holiday. We'd saved up all this money, bought all this gear, bought a van over in UK, and then just started touring.
This is the two of you?
This was, well, funny enough, this was the two of us. The plan was with the two of us, and then all of a sudden we had this, here's another member, one of the original members, a guy named Nathan Delaroche, came in about a month before we were about to leave to go on this tour. He didn't know we were going to go overseas. He didn't know what we were doing. He just came in for a jam and really dug the music. And then I think after the first jam, he was absolutely loving the music. And then we're like, so bro, we're actually leaving to go overseas. We're going for a long time. And he went, I want to come. I went,
I love it.
All right, cool. So he just literally quit his job. He had a bit of money saved up as well. And so he quit his job. He saved up within a month, just powerhoused. And then he bought his own van and he just came and he pretty much just tagged along. It was great.
And how was that touring all together with with a relationship, a couple, and a new member in that dynamics?
Yeah, it was very interesting. At first, it was just amazing. Like it was, we would use music to just take us to all these different countries, and then all of a sudden we got picked up by an agent over there, and then we just started playing heaps. He booked like 80 shows in 6 months. So we did like 11 countries, and I think we just did a lap of Europe twice, and it was really good. It got challenging because we were all, I guess, because we were all growing at the same time in our own sense, and especially Nathan at that time, like he probably had the biggest growth in, and it got a little bit challenging there towards the end. But he met his now wife, and while we're on tour over there.
Was it love at first sight?
Well, that actually was.
Was it?
yeah, it was. They were just like head over heels for each other straight off the bat. So it was awesome. Yeah, now they've got a beautiful kid about the same age as ours. And but he moved back. Once we all came back, we kept going back and forth to Europe, and he stayed with the band for maybe like 2 years, and then just after, and then Chelsea came in, and then when he left, that's when Damien came in. So yeah.
Okay. Do you feel that having that background in the touring of Europe, it really set you up for Dubarray to have a ground in Australia music industry?
Yeah, well, that was our intention of it. We sort of figured that at that time, Australia wasn't really into their electronica as much. And so we just knew it wasn't the right time for the sound here. So we just thought we'd build our story over there. And so that's what we did. We just kept going back to Europe. And then when we come back, we'd do a few little tours here just to sort of get our name out and about. And then, but it was all really blowing up. It was really going really well for us over in Europe. So we just kept going back.
I mean, the way I see you, Brett, is you always have also a really good business knowledge. Was this something that you've always had, or was it something that you've had to learn along the way?
Oh, I just winged it.
Yeah.
I just learned along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, I studied music business, just at TAFE, but just taking, like common sense and that personal connection with people. And because at the end of the day, business is just it's networking and relationships, really. So if you can nurture those relationships and you can and really focus on that networking, and don't be shy, like be a little bit just not get in people's faces, but don't be afraid to go up and meet people. That's for sure.
Did you know music was part of your path from a young age, or when did you come to that awareness?
Oh, good question. No, actually, I was always thinking sports was going to be my sporting was going to be my path. Yeah, so because I used to play basketball professionally, but then I did a really bad injury way back, basically that started the process of music being the path. And once I got a taste for music, it was just, that was it. I was pretty much like I'd been playing music, but I hadn't really dove into the music industry. And once I got into the music industry and just love playing shows and love writing music and just love touring, it all just started making sense to me. So yeah, I guess that's when the awareness definitely arose.
So I'm just going back to young Brett. So when you're at school, your passion was more playing basketball. And did you play an instrument as well? Because it's something, or is it something that you learnt once you found an interest in music, then you had to go back and learn how to play an instrument? Where does it all balance out?
Good question. I was lucky enough that my parents made sure that I learnt guitar. And
I'm doing that with my kids too. It's important. Yeah.
I think some sort of musical instrument is important for kids. I mean, obviously they've got to have a passion for it too, but so that they sort of pushed me into playing guitar, and I was really enjoying it at the time. But I didn't get a passion for it in high school. I was more because I was into the heavy rock music and funk. Like I was loving my Chili Peppers and that sort of stuff. So I was always dancing around the living room with the broom, pretending I was a lead singer of Chili Peppers. So so that was where I was sort of feeling that I was going towards. But I was really glad I had that guitar knowledge in behind me, because it came in handy later on.
Now, in 2016, you brought out A Sound of Prana in Dubarray. Yep. I mean, this has very much got a spiritual element to it. Where did the conscious side of music and the spirituality come into your writing of your music?
Well, I guess with Dubarray, it was always there. With the way that we write music, but the Sound of Prana was definitely delving deeper into that, that spirituality and that awareness of, the alignment, the way that basically it was all to do with going down the yoga path, really. Like we'd been doing yoga for a while, but never really journeyed down that path until I think it was around 2000. Well, that journey started in 2014 because we had a contract. Katie and I had a contract in Switzerland, and we were flying back and forth between Australia and Switzerland and doing this contract, and then bringing the band over and then touring over there. But then in the meantime, we were bouncing to Bali, so we'd go to Bali on the way there, and then Bali on the way back. And in Bali, all we were doing was, going straight to Ubud and just doing lots of yoga and just really getting in that world. And that's when Kate came up with the concept of writing the sound of prana. We were going to yoga classes and they were playing like pop music, and we were just like, man, I wish these guys would play some cool music. What's going on? And then Kate's like, let's just write some cool music for it. I'm like, that is such a good idea. So, so we just decided we were sort of collaborating with yoga teachers, and we wanted to do that soundscapes of the 7 chakras. So it was all about aligning each track with the different affirmations of each chakra and the colors and the tune, like the tuning of them, because each chakra has a key. So so pretty much that's where the journey started. We were pretty much in Bali, really, and then we worked on that album for about 2 years in between touring, and we were almost not going to release it as a Dubarray thing. We were almost going to release it as a whole new side project, but we were like, nah, this aligns with what Dubarray is about. Sort of like, is it going to take away from the live concerts that we do? Are people going to be like, oh, they're just gone too chilled now? And then it had that totally adverse effect when we released it. It was like people were really longing for that from our sound. So and then it opened up a whole new doorways into festivals, like doing prana sessions. So then we'd do live music yoga sessions, and then we'd be able to offer that as well, like a live music yoga session and a concert. So all of a sudden, we found ourselves playing a lot more festivals, which is great.
It really adds to your experience of touring, doesn't it? Because it gives you that 2 elements of a capacity to make income when you add the workshop element or a different format. You're doing the live show and bringing in this other element of yoga fusion and music.
Oh, definitely. And just to see the reaction of people that were feeling the music live, it's just so beautiful. We just we got a lot out of that, just seeing people's reaction to the music, and it's still happening. We just did a live stream yoga, sort of like a sound immersion / prana thing the other night, and just we're just finding people really resonating with that, especially now that everyone's sort of slow in lockdown.
So coming back to, we're all in this current time of being in lockdown. I like to use the word of lockdown is quite a negative word, isn't it? It's quite a fearful word. We are in isolation. We're forced to be still and to be, in a lot of ways, on our own. So when you connected in this festival that was live across the whole world, how did you feel? Were you still able to connect energetically with all your audiences? And
not necessarily that one, because it's interesting. You're just seeing people come up on the screen and going, I love this, and throwing love heart up, and you do get that there is that connection. Like people, okay, cool, people are listening to this, and that's great. If anything, it's so good in the sense you can just really delve into making that, creating that energy for just you guys in the room. So it's a little bit harder because you don't have anybody to feed off, really. So you have to dive deeper into yourself, and really come back to where the magic happens from, making music. So
back into your alignment.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess it's great, because like it'd be harder with solo musicians, but Kate and I have got each other to feed off, so we can still really inspire and encourage each other. So.
And how are you finding this time for you and as an experience for you and Kate? And you've also got a 1.5-year-old daughter with Starry?
She's 11 months.
11 months now. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So we're loving it. She's we're actually really enjoying it because our life was really pretty busy.
Yeah. I can
so
imagine.
it was At first, it was a bit fearful because obviously, when you lose all your work overnight, it's a bit concerning. But I think, we're just lucky enough, obviously, to be in a country that, the government can just sort of go, here's a little pillow, fall on financially. So that was a bit concerning. Once that fear passed, it's been really, really nice just to reconnect. We just the little things and spending lots of time with each other, spending time with my daughter has just been so beautiful. Like I spend a lot of time with her anyway, but I'm really like spending lots of time with her now. So it's great. With one thing that we've been finding though with this, this time in isolation, it's hard because you tend to be on the internet a lot more and you're on your devices and all that sort of stuff. That's one place that we both, Katie and I, try, just sort of give each other a heads up. If one of us is just engulfed in our thing that we're doing, we just sort of, hey, because, Wistara is looking at, they take in everything. They can see what you're doing.
I live by example.
So, yeah, totally.
I've noticed that being in isolation to week 3 of homeschooling, and we just went into school holidays, and it's the devices. And I've noticed, how can I tell them to get off the devices when I'm personally on the devices? So I'm finding it difficult to tell them to switch off for 2 hours and to be present with me when I'm doing it myself. So I'm constantly reminding myself, switch off and be present and artistic with them as well without technology.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really, really important thing, and especially in this time right now.
I really find through listening to music and having had the privilege to host you at One Space and do a number of concerts with you, that your music communicates through the language of love and of, you use this universal language of music through the way that you bring your music through. How did you come to that?
Yeah, I guess that's just, like you said, living by example, really. You just, you write the music that you love to live by, and then obviously inspired by that type of music from other artists as well. We've been really lucky to have such a beautiful musical family everywhere that we go now. Like there's just, we're playing so many festivals in New Zealand and Indonesia and around Australia and in Europe. We've managed to really connect with a lot of beautiful musicians and a lot of beautiful people just in general, really. But especially the musicians that give us the inspiration to write our music. That's been a huge blessing. And just inspired by our lifestyle. I think if you're not inspired by your lifestyle, then maybe you should be making choices to create your lifestyle.
Do you live it? I mean, I know you do personally, but for the listeners, what are like 3 things that you would say you do in your lifestyle as a whole, together, united, that is a healthy, well-being way of living?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, well, we're very conscious about what we eat. That's a big one. And we really try to make sure that we stay connected within our own selves with yoga and meditation. And then also, I guess practicing makes like the socialism between ourselves in the sense of our connection with each other as well. That's a big one, I think, because you can do all the meditation and yoga and everything, but like you've still got to be able to be communicating with yourself. So we practice, especially Kate and I, we practice really good communication. Make sure we tell each other how we feel if we're not feeling that well, or if we need some time out. We make sure that communication is a key.
This is actually something I wanted to delve into, the masculine and the feminine energy within relationships, within creating music with the people that you're with, or in relationship of your love union. Do you notice that within the dynamics? Because you're making music together, so there must be a role that one of you have to step into that masculine to produce, and then there's another role where one of you have to step into the feminine to allow the inspiration to come through. Are you aware of that in your process?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, that's a really good question, because literally we were just we were just creating before this podcast, and I think I'm very masculine in the sense of the get things done. Yeah, that's just the way that Kate's always been. She's very feminine when it comes to that sort of sense. She allows. She allows the inspiration, and that's why it's taken us so long to write a follow-up CD to Sound of Prana, because until she gets that inspiration, I can't do much. But I'm helping by getting into that masculine of producing a lot more at the moment. I'm pumping out lots of grooves and lots of beats and just sort of sending them her way, going, okay, is there inspiration coming yet? So it finally has, which is great. So we're just on that journey now of like finally starting a follow-up CD to the sound of prana, which is, we started doing these sound immersions about a year ago, which is more sound healing.
Mm-hmm.
We call them sound immersions because find with this, it has this element of sound healing in it, but we just try and utilize everything we can to drop people into a really deep state of meditation. So we've got the electronics as well. So we use binaural beats in a live setting, but we use sub frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
So people would lay down and meditate, and then we've got our crystal bowls and flutes and hung, and then we use Kate's voice. She uses that really beautifully and angelically.
So it's a real sound immersion.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Sound immersion.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'd love one of them right now.
Yeah, well, people that were coming were getting a lot of healing out of it. Like, we were sort of, when you're going into those things, you're a guru. You become a guru of whatever you're doing. The more you practice it, really. And we had no idea. To tell you the truth, we were going into this thing. We'd been to a bunch of sound healings and knew what, I guess it's because when you're doing sound healing, it's very intuitive. And so there's no rehearsals. You just got to go with your gut, and you go with what's channeling, what's coming in.
Go with your heart.
We had some absolutely amazing feedback from it. We had people that were visited by their passed away parents. We had people that were just fully just letting go of insecurities and anxiety, and they would just keep coming back, and so that's been a real eye opener and a real inspiration for us too. So we've been sort of working at heading towards that. A CD for that as well, and Kate's she's really found her groove with that stuff as well. So she's really good. And that's I think we've all tapped into our feminine on that one, because it's very it's very intuitive practice.
Well, that is very much the divine feminine, that sound vibration and that intuitiveness, that you can be receptive of other people's energies to be able to carry that space. And I think on that, having to dance in this relationship together, you'd have to be really honoring to allow each other to learn from each other and hold space for each other to grow. Like, as you're saying, Kate's going through a process when she was like, I'm not ready to feeling the inspiration. And so you almost have to step back and allow that. A really important part of allowing each other to be honest and show up at where you're at that moment, so you can continue to be the better version of yourself.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, I think it came, funny enough, just before we had Wistari, Kate was coming to a time, that was in 2017. She was pretty much coming to a time when she was like, I just need a break from touring. I'm just done. We'd been touring pretty much non-stop for like 5 years. And funny enough, we got to the end of that tour, and that's when we found out she was pregnant. So it was just like the universe going, yep, okay, it's time to ground in now.
And I think that's what we're all learning at the moment, is it can become an addiction, the busyness and the push of success, rather than just allowing it, the creative process to come through you and take you on each path it's going to take you, because we don't know. And right now we're in a space of not knowing, which can be uncomfortable. Oh,
totally. And you go through those mixed feelings with that not knowing as well. But then at the end of the day, you just got to trust and allow, and it'll all unfold the way it's meant to be. But at the same time, trusting and allowing, but also being aware when you trust with what you're trusting as well.
Eyes wide open.
There's I think some people can mix those two up by just trusting in everything. Trusting in the process of the divine is a whole different trust than just trusting, our government or whatever's being imposed onto us, or oppression of some sort. So
no, that's beautifully said. What is some music that you're listening to at the moment now that you're at home in isolation? Is there anyone that you can inspire the listeners with that's on your playlist?
Yeah, who's on our playlist at the moment? We've been listening a lot to Yummy.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Yeah, and Kate's been listening a lot to Yummy. She's really inspired by her at the moment. And myself, I've been tapping back into like Nightmares on Wax. I don't know if you're...
Yes.
Yeah.
DJ Kick.
Yeah, DJ Kicks. Well, he's done a couple of things with... he did that, a couple of collaborations with a lot of New Zealand artists in there. Yep. And so I've been really tapping into that, and Jordan Reiki.
Yes.
And then going down the other sort of side is Desert Dwellers and Tikitane and Dub Effects. They're all big inspirational acts as well. For a lot of friends of ours are big inspirations that I always tap back into. Tijuana Cartel, Oka,
Bobby
all that
Arlou.
crew. Yep, Bobby Arlou.
Yeah.
Actually, Bobby Arlou's album is literally on high rotation for Wistari right now. It's
Isn't it? Yeah,
so
reminder to
beautiful.
slow down.
Such a beautiful album.
It is.
Yep.
It really, truly is a beautiful album. If there's one thing, I mean, you've spoken about your passion of basketball and finding your passion of music now and your love for Kate and now your daughter. Is there something that you dream of that you still want to do, but there's a little bit of hesitation, either with Dubarray or with yourself personally on your journey?
Yeah, I been really trying to tap into the gardener of me.
I love it.
And because I'm terrible at gardening.
Yeah.
So so that's been a really, really cool thing to do while we're in this isolation.
I did not expect you to go there.
We've built a veggie garden, and I've been really enjoying it. It's been awesome. So
I actually built 2 garden beds in my small semi-house in Newtown, big garden beds, and I'm not a gardener either. And I keep going out, are you still alive to my veggies?
Yeah. Totally. Oh, I guess it was so funny too, because you go to the nursery and they're just, all the seedlings are gone. Everyone's just like done the same thing. They're all just tap back into their gardening, which is a good time right now, I think, especially if the world's going crazy and trying to buy everything off the shelves of Woolies, you start realizing what's important. And having veggies is actually really important. Veggies and clean water.
Exactly. Well, instead of going to get the toilet paper, which I'm almost run out of, I went to the local nursery and bought seedlings, organic seedlings and the soil. And then I went to Bunnings and bought the wood, and I ordered alkaline water online. So that was my 2 parent, right, taking action now. And then I thought I have to figure out how to grow the veggies. But yeah, it's what I'm learning to do as well. So I love that you said that. I thought you were going to say something unachievable.
There's a few festivals I'd love to play with Dubarray, right? Still, but yeah, it'd be really nice. We haven't really tapped into a really high number of streaming yet, in the sense of. So, I mean, it'd be nice if our music got out a little bit further in reach. Because we know that the people that it's getting to, it's really getting a deep connection with. Yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, that's it's not really that important. I guess on the bucket list, a couple of festivals in the pipes. There's a couple of really nice festivals over in the more conscious festivals, obviously over in the States and that sort of stuff. I used to want to play Burning Man, but I don't know if I want to play Burning Man now. For some reason, we've been awoken to like so many other amazing festivals. Like we played Luminate Festival over in New Zealand in 2017, and that was such an amazing festival. That was the first real festival I'd ever seen them do a no rubbish festival. So that was super, super conscious, and it's only a small festival, only about 6,000. Yeah, so we did that. We did that one with Desert Dwellers and Deodora and Wild Marmalade and all that crew were there, and people. Most of the musicians that go there for the good 5 to 7 days. So they all hang out, and everyone's hanging out, and going down the creek and hanging out, and it's just on this beautiful crystal mountain, and it's a really, really, it's one of those life-changing festivals. You start realizing what you really want out of a festival, and where you want to be connecting with your audience. Actually, one of the festivals I wouldn't mind doing at the moment is New Zealand Spirit Festival. And we wanted to do Bali Spirit Festival. We got an offer one year, but it didn't align with where we were going to be. So New Zealand Spirit Festival would be really nice, because I think Frankie and the guys have done a really good job over there. And we've connected with Frankie along the way at Wanderlust and a few other different festivals as well. So we've seen his journey, and he's built an absolute beautiful event out of that. It's really connected. And
he's in a beautiful sacred union relationship with his partner.
Yeah, him and Nikki have got a beautiful, beautiful relationship.
It's beautiful to witness the love that they share and that they're creating together as well. So
yeah, it's very powerful.
It is. Now, the name of this show this chat is Feels Like Heaven, because you've just dropped a new single called Feels Like Heaven. I mean, what a beautiful title, because in my interpretation of that, I mean, I listened to the track. It very much reminded me of the actually Nightmare on Wax kind of vibe and Massive Attack, actually, when I listened to it. So that was my initial thought. Was that any inspiration from there?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of inspiration from that. I had that groove sitting there for quite a while. But the lyrics didn't come until we started diving very deep into breath work. So Kate's brother, my brother-in-law, Benny, he does a lot of breath work, and he had a shaman coming up from Sydney by the name of Bassam, who was doing these breathwork sessions, and we went and did a fair few of these breathwork sessions, and that's where the inspiration of the lyrics came from. Because basically, with breathwork, it's called rebirthing, and it's about releasing anyone that's done it, knows that it's about releasing tension within the body that's stored within your cells, and the rebirthing is about releasing that tension from a birth, because most of us have had a traumatic birth experience. Lucky few haven't, but then there's also life traumas that don't just stay. You think you might be over them, but they stay within your cells. Yes. And using prana and breath is the best way to release those that trauma. So when to get to that bliss point in one of the breath work, a couple of times I did actually, and when you get to that, that bliss point, it literally feels like heaven. There's no words to describe it. You're in this state of like total essence. It's hard to even explain. There's no time. You don't know where you are. You just feel this euphoric state of bliss. And it literally, that was all I could describe it. It feels like heaven. So that's what that track's about. It's about rebirthing. And its original name was called the Rebirth. And then just before we were about to release it, we're like, people might think this is a bit too religious. So we decided to change the name to Feels Like Heaven. And plus then it's just easier to tap back into the chorus of what the hook is about. And
I really think it resonates, Feels Like Heaven. And I think you've described that process of that breath work, which gets rid of the blockages that are stagnant within ourselves, and it brings us into that alignment, which is where we began the conversation of Dubarray's music. And once you're in that alignment in your heart, you start to see life in a different way. Everything is very blissful, and anytime you get off that alignment, you're reminded what it feels like to come back to that space, and that carries through to your relationships. Anytime you get off, you know what it feels like to be back in that space of feels like heaven.
Yep, definitely.
Thank you so much for being open and sharing with me today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you on One Space Love podcast.
Oh, it's been a pleasure to chat with you again, Steph. It's been way too long.
It has been.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Give my love to the girls, and I look forward to, when we're out of isolation, to see you back on tour in Sydney, and to come along and have a dance or lie down and just enjoy a sound immersion. Will be lovely too.
Definitely, we'll be coming back in full force when we're out of this. I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of touring going on.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot of touring from many of the artists out there. I wish that for them all. So
yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where did you come to the name of your daughter, Wistari? Did I say that correctly, Brett?
Yes. Okay, you
good.
said her name. Yeah, Wistari. We named her after the reef up in Heron Island, because we spend a lot of time on Heron, and that's the reef that just surrounds Heron. We're sort of next to Heron Island, and we were sitting on the beach jamming one day when we were trying to come up with names, and we were looking at the Wistari Reef and just went, that's her name. Just sunk in.
It's a divine name. I named my daughter when I was living in Tuscany in Italy, and was at Siena, and I didn't have any children then. I was not married. We were engaged, but I was like, when I have a daughter, I will call her Siena. So yeah, it's just a knowing you have.
I love Tuscany. That's such a beautiful area there too, Siena and that. Oh.
Such a beautiful place.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's a wrap. Lots of love.
All right. No worries.
Bye.
Bye.